Hello guys, it is the Gaming Weasel back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be naming my top 3 beginner warframes that every beginner should have. Now these warframes are good for solo play, they're good with team play, they're good in any kind of situation you can possibly put them in. Of course there are honorable mentions as well, but these are my really top 3 beginner warframes that every beginner should have and are really useful. None of these warframes are high level. You can use them at high level, I'm not saying that, but you can obtain them quite easily once you start the game. For example, if you spend like 3 hours, 4 hours in the game, you can already obtain all 3 warframes if you look and grind hard enough. But nonetheless, my honorable mentions are, by the way, Ember is a really good warframe. Now, depending on which warframe you choose at the beginning, all 3 are good. And if you haven't got some of them, for example, if you chose Volt instead of Mag and Excalibur, get those 2 because they're useful warframes as well. But my first warframe, in no particular order, is going to be Rhino. Rhino was the first warframe that I got. You can obtain him on Venus fighting the boss Jackal. I'm not gonna tell his stats. It doesn't really, doesn't really help you. But nonetheless, all the gameplay is recorded of the warframes mentioned. Of course, I'm using the primed variants instead of the normal ones. The abilities stay the same, but it doesn't really matter. The abilities are the main point. That first ability is going to be Rhino Charge, which is you just literally charge the enemies, knock them down, ragdoll them, and kill them if your charge is strong enough. My next ability is going to be Iron Skin. Gives you Iron Skin. There's a certain duration, and when enemies shoot you, they're not going to directly lower down your shields and health. They're going to lower first Iron Skin. Number 3 is going to be Roar, which increases the damage output of your allies. And fourth ability is going to be Rhino Stomp, which damages enemies and puts them like in a stasis where they're flying and you can shoot them down. Now, most of the abilities, I'll show you my mods about now. And most abilities are affected by damage, and you should go for a damage build for this one. Now, you're probably not going to have all these mods, but nonetheless, these mods are always going to be needed, so you might as well get them if you possibly can. But mostly for damage, range and efficiency are not needed on Rhino, and also duration is not needed, but I personally make like a middle ground between duration and damage. So that is Rhino. I told you all the 4 abilities where you can get them, and moving on to the next one is gonna be Frost. Frost is a really good warframe. Everyone uses them. Everyone almost has them, especially the primed version through Twitch Prime. Really good warframe. He is useful in any situation. Also, Rhino is as well. His first ability is gonna be, I actually forgot the name of it. It just launches a little icicle at enemies. The second one, that of course does damage and freezes them as well. And the second ability is gonna be, I guess, Ice Wave. It does damage to enemies. It creates an icicle wave. It does damage and slows them down. The third ability is going to be Snow Globe, the most useful ability of Frost, and of course creates a Snow Globe that deflects, or I guess absorbs, all damage, all incoming damage. Nothing can go through this Snow Globe, just so you know. No projectile, no anything, nothing can go through this. And last but not least, Avalanche, which is the ultimate. It freezes enemies and kills them if, of course, your damage is high enough. Mostly damage. Just damage, straight up damage. You can go a little bit of range as well with him. Efficiency is not really needed that much. Neither is duration. Damage and range are quite useful. So the Snow Globe becomes a little bit bigger, and of course your ability is to have a bigger range. The Snow Globe is not affected by duration, by the way. Moving on to my last warframe is gonna be Oberon. Oberon is a really good warframe. Of course, forgot to say, you can obtain Frost by defeating the boss on Mars. And once we're here at obtaining warframes, Oberon's parts are obtained by killing Exibus enemies. Those are the enemies that glow. You have like particle effects going off of them. I will show you a picture right now. You can see how one Exilus enemy looks like, so you know what to aim for. Now, his parts are not actually that hard to get. You can get them. There are low-level Exilus enemies. He's really good, I have to say. His abilities are really good, and it is a really good solo, and I guess, a support Warframe. Now, first ability is going to be Smite. It launches a projectile that does radiation damage and bounces off into the environment, and does more damage to enemies once it bounces back. And now, moving on to his second ability is going to be Hollowed Ground. There you go. Hollow Ground, of course, like makes grass, as you'll see me spam in the clip. Makes grass, which heals you and does damage to enemies, of course, radiation damage. And third ability is going to be Renewal, which gives you and your teammates extra armor, or, well, armor, yeah, depending on what your power strength is, and also giving them regenerative powers. And you'll see me tank a lot of shots in the clip because of my renewal and, of course, the Hollowed Ground ability. Last but not least is gonna be, I forgot what it's called again. I always forget this fourth ability. It's called Reckoning. Reckoning just literally flows the enemies up in the air and smashes them next to the ground, doing radiation damage. And it is a really good ability. You can ragdoll enemies, put them on the ground, and then you can do a melee finisher on them. Nonetheless, all three Warframes are really good. In total, if you can get all three of them, because they're going to be useful down the line, playing some other different things. If you can, get the Prime variants. If you can't, it isn't really big of a bother. But hope this helped. If you need any kind of help with Warframe, I'm here to help. If you have any questions for these Warframes, I'm glad to, help you out and tell you anything I can. And this has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out. Of course, subscribe, comment, and like the video if you enjoyed. Bye.